Transmission Control Protocol, TCP, Internet Protocol, IP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, Secure Shell, or SSH. These are protocols in the field of cyber, and we all use the word protocol while everyone nods in agreement. Yes, the TCP protocol. But what actually is a protocol? Let's drop the tech jargon and explain it in human terms. I know, we can ask the dictionary what the word protocol means. That'll clear things up, right? Definition 1B, a protocol is a set of conventions governing the treatment and especially the formatting of data and blah, blah, blah. Well, that was about as satisfying as a meal of bread and water. It does the job, but nobody enjoyed it. Let's see another definition, one that is not so tech-focused. Definition 1A, a system of rules that explain the correct conduct and procedures to be followed in formal situations. Better, but still doesn't hit the mark. Let's give a real-world example that should really nail it. You and I decide to play a friendly game of catch. Now, knowing that you and I like to mess with each other, we agree to some ground rules. Underhand throws only, no aiming for the face, no aiming at anything below the waist. These ground rules we've agreed upon can be thought of as the protocol for our game. If either of us violates these ground rules, the other participant can stop playing because our pre-established protocol isn't being respected. This is important because if we don't follow these protocols, someone might get hit in the face. The ground rules for the different protocols we deal with are published by the Internet Engineering Task Force, or IETF. The IETF publishes a set of ground rules for each protocol called a Request for Comment, or RFC. Each protocol has its own numbered RFC, which defines the ground rules for that protocol. Now, why is each set of ground rules for a protocol called a Request for Comment? Well, because engineers are jerks. Not really, it's because when the internet was first being created, different students and professors were still debating about how each protocol should behave. To share ideas, they would publish early ground rules and ask their peers for feedback. In other words, they were requesting comments on the protocol designs. So that's where the name Request for Comment comes from. Now, if you have trouble going to sleep at night, pick up one of these RFCs and read them in bed. I'm kidding, there's a lot of good information in these RFCs, but the material can be pretty bland and dry. Here are some real-life examples of protocols. This prescribed behavior is known as the TCP handshake, and it is part of the Transmission Control Protocol, or TCP. It describes the ground rules for how two computers should establish initial communication using TCP. We won't go over the details of the TCP handshake right now. All you need to bring away from this is that TCP has a prescribed method of behavior or protocol for establishing an initial connection. HTTP also has a prescribed method of behavior when it grabs a web page. This is called a GET request, and this is generally how it works. Your computer sends the web server a request for a specific web page. The web server responds with the requested web page and the status code of 200, meaning that everything functioned normally with the request. From there, your browser reads the data and displays the web page you requested. This is the way that computers and web servers should behave according to the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP. Now, why are protocols so important? Well, without protocols, computers wouldn't know how to talk to each other. It would be like two people shouting different languages across a room. Nobody would understand anything. And as a result, nothing would get done and everyone would be frustrated. Protocols make sure your data gets delivered safely, in the right order, and to the right destination. They are what's keeping the internet and your networks from turning into complete chaos. Let me show you a real-life example of what happens when two different protocols try to talk to each other. I'm going to use the Telnet protocol to connect to a machine that is expecting the SSH protocol. In other words, my machine is using Telnet. The target machine is using SSH. So the communication will fail since we are using two different protocols. Watch this. Telnet, target, Cali, port 22. This tells the computer I want to use Telnet. This is the host name I want to connect to. This is the port number I want to connect to. We'll hit enter. Here the SSH server is responding with its banner and its version number and capabilities, and it's expecting me to respond with my SSH version and capabilities, but I'm using Telnet. I'm going to hit enter to get things moving. So SSH severed the connection because it didn't understand what I was doing. I wasn't following the protocol. Let me show you in a diagram what just happened. First, my computer reaches out with Telnet to the SSH server. The SSH server sees the connection request and says, "Cool, you want to connect? Here is my version number and capabilities. Please send me your version number and capabilities." Then the SSH server awaits my response. But Telnet doesn't respond automatically the way an SSH client would. It just sits quiet. So to move things forward, I simply hit the enter button. This sends a new line character to the SSH server, which is definitely not what it is expecting. When the SSH server receives that new line character, it says, "What the heck was that? I don't know you, go away." And it proceeds to sever the connection. Now, you don't have to memorize how every protocol works. Just understanding that each protocol has unique prescribed methods of behavior is generally enough to be effective most of the time. It's only when you get deep into hacking, forensics, writing detections, or even troubleshooting that understanding the specifics of expected protocol behavior is really helpful. If this helped clear some things up for you, let me know in the comments. And if you know of someone else who would enjoy this video, please share it with them. And if you find yourself frustrated and overwhelmed, feeling like there is too much to learn and you're not sure if you'll make it, don't worry, I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. I know you can get this because I've seen many others get it before. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next one.